the real deal. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to the Real Deal Airsoft. My name is Jake, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because on this channel, you don't want to miss out on any future giveaways, latest airsoft tech, tips, and how-tos. This channel is pretty much dedicated to teaching you how to build your dream airsoft replica. So this episode is going to be a little bit different. As you guys know, I have my own website, www.therealdealairsoft.com, and on there, I am focused on providing you guys high-performance airsoft upgrade parts. So the next part that I want to add to my line of products is motors. And for this case, it's going to be a brushed motor. So I'm dealing with a couple different prototypes, and I'm testing different models. And in this episode, that is exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking one of my prototype motors, and we're going to be installing it into my custom VFC MP5. This MP5 has 13:1 ratio gears inside and a classic Army high torque motor. Not sure which TPA it is, but it's really, really high torque. So oh my God. Bruh. This is one of my first builds that I started promoting when I first got into YouTube and whatnot. And I do have a build video on this replica. However, that video is old, outdated, and using old technology. So that's why it's important to be subscribed and hit that bell button so you get the notifications from this channel so you can see the latest airsoft tech. So whatever was in the AEG back then, it's completely different now. Different MOSFET, different motor, different nozzle. So many different things are different inside this build. But long story short, it's a 13:1 ratio build with the classic Army high torque motor. Not sure the TPA. So let me talk real quick about the Real Deal custom motor. Price point is going to be really affordable. It's going to be very affordable. Everyone should throw this in their AEG. What applications can you use this for? So let me talk about some specs about this motor real quick. The design spec. So TPA count. I'm testing with different amount of wire on the armatures. I want to find the perfect balance of torque and speed. This way I can deliver fast trigger response and fast rate of fire. So the goal with my motors is to be able to deliver really good trigger response and really good rate of fire. So how do we do that? Like I said, playing with different armature wirings, different TPAs will yield different torque to speed outputs. Like this is a prototype, right? The color may not even be the same. As well, the magnets. So for the magnets for my motor, I went with Neo magnets, N35, boom, 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 boom. Really, really torquey, so to me, that's really important. Also, it's a D-type pinion. There's bearings on the top, the bottom of the shaft, as well as the bottom of the end bell. The bottom of the end bell has solder points and really thick brushes. So, as well, the can has a bunch of high-speed vents to help get rid of that carbon dust and aid in cooling. So, all in all, I wanted to be able to provide a nice budget motor that provides supreme trigger response and really good rate of fire out the box. I'm trying to beat the ASG 30K in terms of trigger response and rate of fire. So that's what this motor is dedicated to. I'm going to install it in the MP5 right now, but I want to give you guys a little heads up. In the future, when I roll out with my line of motors, any motor that you guys get, whether it be mine, Warhead, any motor that you get, don't just throw it in. Don't just pull out your other motor and drop it in. Every motor has slightly different tolerances, and you want to make sure that you have good meshing between the bevel and the pinion. So all you got to do is a half shell method, make sure your motor height's correct, and reshim your bevel to pinion. There's plenty of videos on how to do that. I have videos on my channel. Search around. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to show every step on how I install this motor inside, but I will cut to inside the gearbox just to give you guys a glimpse of what I'm looking for when I drop a new motor in. All right, I just want to make sure that the motor height's correct and that the bevel's not too tight. So that's all we're going to be doing. So guys, without any further ado, let's take a look at the current trigger response, current amp draw, and let's hear how the rate of fire sounds. I'm not really going to put BBs into it right now, but let's just take a look and analyze, guys. All right, boys, I got it powered up with an 11.1 Li-ion battery. Don't really know how charged it is or not. I'm using the same battery for the testing. It's going to be a 10-minute difference, not a big deal. All right, here's semi. No, and guys, there's no pre-cocking, so you don't worry about that. It's going to be a full stroke, 13:1, no short stroke. Just so you guys know. I mean, it's pretty snappy. It is. I got no complaints. Like, I enjoyed it. But let's see if it can get better. All right, so I have the MP5 wired up to the watt meter, connected to the battery. I'm gonna zoom in on the watt meter because you can't see it right now. So that's how it's gonna be set up. So when I'm firing, you're just gonna see the watt meter. Okay, so we're at 12.2 volts. So 1.6 amps per trigger pull. Let's see, auto. 19 peak amps. About 1.5 amps per trigger pull on semi and about 19 peak amps on auto. All right, so you got to the gearbox, right? Pretty cool gearbox, Insidious Army bearings, real deal piston, parent nozzle, SHS tappet plate, first generation optical MOSFET. So guys, when you're installing your motor, you want to get to your gearbox. Being that this is an MP5, process is going to be a little bit different, but normally you would take your motor grip and put your motor inside, close it off, right, so that your motor is assembled in your motor grip, and then you would take a half shell and you'd see your motor height. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to open it up, see what's inside here. All right, there's a shim over here. Make sure you put it back. All right, so internally, got the parent V2 optical. Which generation piston is this? Oh, it's my first generation piston. No way. No way. Still running strong. Wow, this is the first generation piston. I'm going to change out the piston head. The new generation looks something like this. Oh, sneak peek. Didn't come out yet. So yeah, I'm going to change out that piston. But guys, yeah, so right now, what I would normally do for you to check your motor height is I would take this half of the gearbox shell. Let me just put this back before I lose it. It's really getting me nervous. So guys, what you want to do now is take this half of the gearbox shell, which is the top half, take your bevel gear with the shims, put it right here, and the teeth are going to be facing up, like so. Once you get to this point, all you would do is you would take your motor with your motor grip, slide it on, and observe the motor height. Again, this is a MP5, so not going to be as easy to see, but pretty much for you guys who have your standard V2 replicas, take your motor with your motor grip and slide it on and observe the motor height. And you'll see something like this, all right? So you want to make sure it's not too low, not too high, and make sure it's perfect. All right, so when you shim, this is really hard because it's an MP5, but you want to make sure your motor height is flush. Right now it's not. I'm going to make a little bit of an adjustment. And you want to make sure that the bevel gear is not too tight. Like I said, there's plenty of videos on how to do this, but generally speaking, when you're swapping out your motor, just make sure your motor height's correct. All right, after you've checked your motor height, what you would now do is you would clamp both sides of the gearbox. I took my MOSFET out. You could just funnel the wires out the sides. But what I do here is with the gearbox closed with 3 screws, I'll take my motor grip with the motor and I'll slide it onto the bottom part. And then right here, we would be checking the final check, which is the play. You want about like that much play. All right, so you want a little bit of play right now. It's not connected yet, so it's an MP5, and I'm going to do that off the camera. But yeah, for you guys, the final shimming part will be putting your motor grip with the motor, slide it onto both halves, and see the play. It might be hard to see, but I'll label it for you. 1.38 amps, 1.4 amps, 0.76, 1.6, 1.5, 0.77, 0.75, 1.32, 1.36, 1.61. All right, so on average, we were doing 1.5 amps before. Now, on average, I would say it's more closer to 1.3 amps. So we actually are more efficient on semi. 1.3, yeah, you see what I'm saying? Now let's see the full auto amp drawer. Wow. All right, so 20 peak amps. So it's maybe 1 amp more. But bro, the rate of fire jumped, bro. The rate of fire jumped. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So guys, to summarize it, I'm pretty happy with the Protype motor. The performance results showed that semi-auto was slightly more efficient, drawing less amps, and the full auto was about 0.5 to 1 amp less efficient. However, the rate of fire significantly jumped. Normally with motors, the higher torque, the more TPA, the more efficient, meaning less amp draw, but lower rate of fire. So the fact that we maintained almost the same amount of amp draw for full auto and jumped the rate of fire shows me that this motor is pretty torquey and has good potential. So I'm going to be doing more revisions, going to be testing out different TPAs, and the color of the motor might be different. So far, the Protype is looking pretty good. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment down below, and to show YouTube that you like this stuff, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, drop a comment, and also make sure you have the bell notifications on so you get notified whenever The Real Deal drops a new video. Until next time, I'll take you guys with me on my airsoft journey, developing the parts along as we go and trying to get the best stuff to you guys as fast as we can. So make sure you're subscribed. See you on the workbench, guys. The Real Deal.